So as part of the onboarding service, we actually build each customer up based on the contracts and current invoices, and that's how we're able to set it up. And then after we do this 5-second ingestion, we create our magic report, and I call it the red, yellow, green report. And it's basically anything that matches right to the penny. And I'm talking about line item detail. That means it's a circuit, a voice line, taxes, one-time charges, those dreaded FUSA fees that telecoms charge. And there's all kinds of add-ons that they charge. So we know what they should be getting charged. And I get a line item detail on every one of those. And so if it's exact to the penny of what we expect it to be, it shows up green on our report, which again means I don't have to look at that. So I can ignore all of the green, although I like seeing it because that proves that, number one, our process is working. You're getting charged what you're supposed to get charged down to the penny. I mean, really, and that's good. So 95% of our 20,000 line item report comes out at green. That means that's a good thing. And then there's the yellow, and that means that that it's not to the penny, but it's off by only a certain dollar amount or a percentage that both the customer and we agree to put in that yellow category. That means maybe the taxes are off a dollar or so. And do you really want to investigate? We can, or we'll say that really doesn't need investigating. We can agree on that. But then the ones that come up in red are those that are outside that realm that we agreed to, and the ones that need to be investigated. And more oftenly than not, we dispute them on behalf of the customer. And we do that also on the carrier's form that they request. So it's if a customer's rarely been through that, it's a pain to follow that dispute process. And they make it that way, again, intentionally, I think, because it's if you want to go through the process to try to dispute charges, then the tougher they make it, then the less or the fewer the people that will actually dispute them.
So let me make sure I get this straight. Not only do you provide them with do you provide your clients with a tool to go ahead and identify um, the gaps, so to speak, the errors that are appearing on their invoices, but you'll go back on their behalf and save them time by disputing on their behalf.
Absolutely, yes. We're, I guess in that way, we're more of a boutique service. So we're
Yeah.
not just providing an app for somebody that doesn't understand. Again, if you don't understand the process and you don't have time, even
Mm-hmm.
giving them an app to say, here's the things, they still may be dumbfounded and not really understand how to do it. And I got to pick this carrier or that carrier. So we do that all for them because
Mm-hmm.
we have the experts on our team. We know what form to fill out. We know how to fill it out, and we've got so much detail that I've even had carriers ask me, where the heck did you get this detail? And obviously they don't know we got it from them, but because they're not, a carrier's service rep may not have ever seen the CSV level details that we get.
Uh-huh.
So it's really amazing to them. But the other thing that I found, which was surprising, is that 95% of the errors that happen that we found are all in the carrier's favor. So I was a little surprised at that, but I mean, there's reasons they happen. I do believe that some of it's human error, some of it's systemic, that they've bought 3 or 4 companies and they've combined billing systems, but for 95% of the errors to be in their favor,
Mm-hmm.
it tends to say, what is really going on.
Yeah.
And obviously, we don't do anything with the 5% that's in the customer's favor. We just, let that slide. And if they ever find it and try to come back after it, then, we've got the data and we can prove that it's there. But
Yeah.
um, So,
But loading up, these IT leaders with information
hmm
it's that's invaluable. Then they can choose what they want to do or not want to do, depending on whose favor it's in, so
yeah.
to speak.
But
Um,
everybody wants to save money. Well, I haven't met somebody yet that doesn't want to save money, but
uh-huh,
so yeah, I mean, it kind of begs the question, why wouldn't every enterprise company be using this? Because it helps and it's, and our fees are less than we actually save them. So
uh-huh.
it is not an expense to interact with Bearstone and BearGuard. It's actually a savings. So
I love that. You're able to, say, and I'm just throwing numbers up here. You're able to save your customer $1,000, and your fees are, $50. They still made $500 or
yeah,
nine hundred and
yeah,
fifty bucks. Yeah.
yeah.
So that is awesome. So you, as a former IT leader.
hmm
Okay. Um, so put your IT leader hat, your CIO, CTO hat on. What differentiates what you're doing um, with BearGuard as compared to what their current internal processes might look like, and also versus any of your competitors that may be out there?
Sure.
Obviously, not naming names, but you know.
Yeah, yeah, Not without naming names. Most folks are familiar with TEM,
Hmm.
with Telecom Expense Management as hiring an auditing company to come in. They
Hmm.
sift through all your contracts and your invoices, and they go back 3 months or maybe even 6 months and try to recover things by looking manually at all of those things and saying,
Hmm.
"Oh, well, you could save $1,000 here." And I've been through that. I've worked with those companies, and it's not a good process. And then they end up recovering. Maybe let's say they save you $50,000 on a $300,000 a month spend, then they get half of that, and you get that going forward. And then they leave, and then 6 months later, you're back in the same boat because, as we've identified, these errors keep coming month after month after month. So how we differentiate is that we are looking at the service every month. As I mentioned, we're basically TIM as a service, or a SaaS app
Hmm.
is TIM. So we look at invoices month after month after month, and we've been able to identify now, after being in it for 2.5 to 3 years, that there is at least a 10% error rate every month,
Hmm.
when you look at it over a year. So one month may only be 5%, but the next month's 15%, the next month's 8%, and but it's they make errors every month in billing. Then the larger you are, the more complications there are.
Hmm.
The billing errors just happen, and it's amazing the different kinds of errors that they actually have or show up with. And but
Yeah.
but
I,
that's, I mean, our differentiator is between our competitors is most, again, do that kind of service where they audit, or for the few that do have an app, they put that app in the hands of the customer and say, you go enter your inventory, you enter your invoices, and then when it spits out our red, green, yellow report, you go dispute those on. And again, I've met very few people that know how to do that, and even those that do don't have the time to deal with it. So um, that's basically our differentiator, is we do all that for them.
So you're bringing in knowledge, saving them time, saving them money, and there's
Mm-hmm.
very little lift that the company has to do except, be able to read that red, green, yellow report and make a decision based on that.
Absolutely. And then also they get, as a benefit, they get access to their inventory, which I'm sure they
Hmm.
don't, most do not have, and a one button budget and forecasting report. So,
Well, and as so many companies are looking for cost savings, um, rather than, looking at, hey, we need to lay off this many people or furlough, like we talked about at the beginning,
Hmm.
furlough so many people, although that may be a component of cost savings, they can look internally as to what they're spending on a monthly basis with their telecom, and some of that could actually um, um, help pay for some of the additional technologies that the organization may also be needing from a customer experience perspective. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so you're helping them create that cost savings, but also creating that future budget as well, to be able to pay for things. That's awesome.
Yeah,
So
I've heard so many customers say our telecom is a mess. And it's,
Mhm.
I mean, you've seen the pictures of the wires going, you see a wiring closet. And that's how, sometimes a CIO or a VP feels about it if they don't have control over it, or
Mhm.
whoever engineered it is gone now, and that knowledge walked out the door. And
Yeah,
so we're able to come in and provide them with continuity and being able to give them a very clear picture of what they have, what they need, and what needs fixed, and also save them money. So,
amazing, amazing. Um, and all from the aspect of, um, 6 years ago, taking a leap of faith and then
yeah,
using your industry knowledge to help others in the industry get better at what they do. Um, So what is the makeup of your ideal BearGuard customer from a business perspective? I think we've talked, you've worked with large enterprise organizations all the way down to, smaller, I don't want to say mom and pop type of organizations, but I mean you really run the gamut from what I understand.
sure. Yeah, and Bearstone can still help almost any business customer, but the ideal Bear Guard customer
Mhm.
would have at least $50,000 a month in telecom expenses or invoices,
Mhm.
and that would include voice, data, security, any any combined bills that they have for all of their locations, even if they're not sent to the same place. If they've got a complete corporate inventory of $50,000 to spend a
Yeah.
month, then that's usually the lowest threshold that kind of puts us up there. Although we have smaller customers on BearGuard, but it's just
Hmm.
not as beneficial to them
Hmm.
for us to be able to find much of the errors. But and then as far as locations are concerned, the more locations that a customer has, enterprise
Hmm.
would be at least 25 locations, because again, the more different areas that you're putting services, the more
Hmm.
opportunity is for carriers to forget about disconnecting services at a location, or adding a service, or getting overbilled for something that maybe they don't see the invoice as
Hmm.
often as they see their corporate invoices. So yeah,
That's
that's a
awesome.
typical customer. But yeah, and our largest ones are over $1 million a month in spend and have over 1,200 locations. So we're able to help them a lot more.
And you run the gamut as far as industries too. I mean, it's not just